All right, again, correcting your Mahayana motivation, a kind mind. Good afternoon. They are again, Buddha nature. This time I'm going to, there are 3 examples that can help you understand Buddha nature. So Buddha nature is like a gemstone. Gemstone. He looks like confused. Gemstone, you know gemstone, right? Gemstone. One example, gemstone. Space, second example, pure water, third example. Okay, because my pronunciation is not correct or what? Gemstone. Gemstone.
Space. Gemstone, space, and pure water.
That's right, he got it. Water, space, gemstone. How do you say it?
Gemstone. You said it right.
That's what I said.
You said it completely right.
Okay. Whoops. Okay, 3, right? 3 examples. Because their intrinsic nature always remains pure, with no defects whatsoever. So first of all, Buddha nature is like gemstone, and usually a gemstone is found in the earth, right? In the earth, but the stone itself remains untainted by temporary mud, whatever stains, you know. Similarly, Buddha nature is primordially pure. It has not been stained even for a moment with any kind of dirt of disturbing emotions, afflictions. And that's the first. I will tell you a little bit more, but then second, the example is Buddha nature is like space. Sometimes you see the sky is covered by clouds, but space itself remains pure. It means it is untouched by any kinds of clouds. And finally, Buddha nature is like water. Again, sometimes water is mixed with dirt and it becomes sort of murky, but the water itself can always be purified. So in the same way, although at present the negative emotions obscured our Buddha nature completely, but all these negative disturbing emotions can be purified. And, we have worldly desires which lead us into delusions and suffering. but they're temporary, and there are many ways to purify them. Think about this. If there is no Buddha nature or this enlightened seed, basic goodness, then what should we purify? You know, if there is nothing to purify, then we are kind of fundamentally imperfect, or have some sort of negative, emotion, negativity that can never be removed. If the water and dirt are fundamentally inseparable, then water is naturally impure, right? But there is this pure sort of universal nature. It doesn't matter who you belong or what kind of religion. It doesn't matter. Pure universal nature. So we are not fundamentally imperfect. So Buddha nature itself remains naturally pure. But the thing is, it is obscured by delusions, right? That's why we need to purify. We need to purify these delusions. If there is no Buddha nature, nothing to purify. There is something very pure, but covered, temporarily covered, we can't discover it, then we have to purify. Then that's the reason. That's why I think we appreciate our life. We have intrinsic nature, universal nature, and we are very happy to purify because we have a goal, we have potential, and we have enthusiasm. We're very happy because we have this amazing quality. So we are very happy to purify it and to recognize it. First, we should have the right ideas about these things. Ideas that are based on sort of careful observation. For example, maybe this, let's see, food and clothing are necessary, right, to protect our lives, right, no matter what. Even Buddha need to eat. We need food, clothing, as long as we have this human life, right? But when I say we should have the right idea of things, it means we should, my teacher told me this time, one time, we should try to not think too much of food and clothing in relation to comfort and pleasure, but only in their relation to the body's needs. This is important. I'm sure you don't agree with me. Don't too much think about comfort and pleasure. Everybody wants comfortable and pleasure, but you should think about it, because the idea of pleasure and comfort develops attachment and desire. And if you are not satisfied with the food, for instance, then you are unhappy. You're not happy, right? You're not happy. desires arise from our five senses, right? For example, you see beautiful forms, you hear beautiful sounds, etc., right? From my own experience, when for instance, if I go to restaurant, if I have food, and then I just remember this, okay, this I'm going to eat this food no matter what, good or not, just my body needs. Then I'm okay with that food, I don't really complain, But as long as, think about the delicious, and pleasure, then this food is not good, then it makes me little bit, unhappy, Um, so maybe this is another way to sort of eliminate or less attach to food and clothing, because desire is negative emotion, desire arises from our senses, and from these sort of five doors to desire come the body's love of comfort, right? Because of, you see, ego self. I want this. I need this. This is comfortable. This is not comfortable. Or, so many things. But, most people do not notice these things. It's like, our five senses. It's like one way describe these five senses. They're like, if you have different, very dangerous five animals, like you have a poisonous snake, you have this is what I made up, you have a crocodile, you have this poisonous frog, the this very colorful, this poisonous frog. Mosquitoes are very, I don't like them, and uh, and spider, it's a poisonous spider, and if you have this, for instance, these dangerous five animals, and then you tie them together uh, with a strong rope, then they can't go, right? Then they can't go, and they're angry, they're suffering, because of discomfort, just they hurt each other and they hurt you, and because of the rope, you tied them together. But if you have these animals, but then you untied them, from this strong rope, then you can let them go. And then each of these five animals will go back to their own sort of natural places. I think that's one way, like these five, senses that bind us in samsara. So it's kind of like similarly, these five senses, being tied together by an ego self. Ego self is like this strong rope, Then we are suffering, Ego self is like this strong rope that, it ties these five senses together. So there is no freedom, no freedom. Then, but, if we recognize this essence, essence of these five senses through Buddha nature, right? So what is the essence of, these five senses? And if you recognize that, then they will dissolve on their own nature. Okay? That doesn't mean like you don't see forms, you don't hear sound. Like as I said, my teachers always, they talk, they buy things, they read, but there's no desire, there's no attachment really, you know. So their five senses or whatever, six sense, five sense, they are free. They're free. Now, let's go back to the examples of Buddha nature that I told you. These three different examples are gemstone, space, and water. Each example actually has a slightly different meaning and connotation. The example of the gemstone means that the stone has very special qualities, like, you know, color, clarity, hardness, whatever. There's so many different qualities this stone has. Therefore, this example gives the qualities of Buddha nature. Okay? Because Buddha nature, we say, you know, is full of qualities and, you know, capabilities. Do you understand that? Okay. And then the example of space means that the space represents changeless. It has, you know, remained forever unchanged. Therefore, nobody can destroy space. It has never been burned by fire. You see, trees have been burned, houses have been burned, people have been burned, sentient beings have been burned, but space itself cannot be burned. Space is never harmed. Buddha said that when everything is destroyed by fire, the sky will remain as it is. And also, space is everywhere, right? Everywhere. It is all pervasive. Similarly, Buddha nature is all pervasive, meaning all beings possess, right, Buddha nature, and it will never change and diminish under any circumstances. You know, is that sometimes the sky is obscured by clouds. Sometimes the sky is clear. You see, clouds are momentary and temporary. You see, but the sky itself has always maintained its nature. Likewise, disturbing emotions are momentary and very temporary. We need to know this. That makes us happy. This is not forever. Temporary is suffering, unhappiness, whatever. They're temporary. So they can be removed. So you see, this example shows that Buddha nature is always there. Space, like space. And Buddha nature will never diminish under any circumstance, like space. Although, as we know, ordinary beings themselves undergo many different kinds of circumstance, right? Birth, sickness, old age, death, and so on. So you see all these changes. But there's no change in Buddha nature itself. Again, the Uttratanta says that this true nature of the mind clarity is as changeless as space. So this is a great example. Buddha nature is like space, you know. Buddha nature is not afflicted by desire, attachment, anger, etc. Therefore, while fully enlightened beings appeared to take birth and manifested out of compassion, they don't actually undergo the suffering of birth, old age, sickness, and death. These are our human characteristic, right? 4 characteristics that we have: birth, old age, sickness, and death. That's we have. But in the Uttarathanta, again, it says, since they have seen true nature, this is talking about someone who recognized Buddha nature and enlightened ones. Since they have seen true nature, they are beyond being born and so on, but is the embodiment of compassion itself. They display birth, illness, old age, and death. Jivjin yangdak tongwi hirs, jesok namlin dijer jang, nyangji dagni jiwa tang, chedang gadang navar tun. Beautiful. This means they are under the power of compassion. Okay? They are not under the power of disturbing emotions because they purified. They developed great compassion. So, you see, enlightened beings don't have disturbing emotions at all. If you have disturbing emotions, then you are not enlightened being. And Buddha nature cannot be influenced by temporary disturbing emotions. Buddha nature cannot be burned by these 4 kinds of fire, you know, birth, sickness, old age, death, right? Buddha nature, nothing to do with this four characteristics of human beings. Because these are created by the obscuration of disturbing emotions. And as I said, Buddha nature is changeless reality, and it is all pervasive. This is the natural quality. So therefore, it cannot be removed. There's nothing to remove, you know, and recognize. It is the result of eliminating all these obscurations. And in order to become an enlightened being, these disturbing emotions must have been removed, abandoned through practice of meditation. That is Buddha nature is like space. Do you understand? Where this example works very well with Buddha nature. Now the last example of Buddha nature is, I said, water, right? This example, water, you know, demonstrates the benefit of Buddha nature. You see, each example has a little bit slightly different meaning. So water give this example talks about the benefit of Buddha nature. You see, what is the characteristic of water? It water is wet, right? That's the characteristic of water. So nature of water is wet. So it makes everything grow and develop. Without water, nothing can grow. We have to appreciate water. It's so important, so important. When I was 10 years old, right in front of the monastery, there is a small river. So we just go there and drink water directly. Not anymore, So that means people don't appreciate, people don't recognize how it is important. Water is not for human beings. Everything, Without water, nothing can grow. So this example, Buddha nature is similarly, Buddha nature is naturally moistened with great compassion for all sentient beings. Because more you experience of Buddha nature, your compassion will arise automatically. For instance, if I recognize Buddha nature, my Buddha nature, then my compassion grow automatically because you don't recognize Buddha nature. I can see that my compassion grow. Oh, this being has possess the Buddha nature, but don't recognize now under ignorance, suffering. So that when I see that through my Buddha nature, then my compassion grow automatically because of the benefit of the recognize of Buddha nature. So Buddha nature is like a water, It has like this great compassion, moistened, great compassion for all sentient beings. As I said, without Buddha nature, there is no reality to be discovered, right? So there is no reason to purify disturbing emotions if there is no Buddha nature. But there is this nature, basic nature, universal nature, it covered by all this temporary, negativity. So we have to purify them. Now, through these examples, we can at least intellectually understand Buddha nature. So therefore, I give you these examples. These three examples work very well in terms of Buddha nature. There are so many examples, Buddhist philosophy, but I thought, when I studied this, these three examples are my favorite example for Buddha nature. And according to the Uttratanta, you should read if you have chance, time. Read Uttratanta. It's so beautiful. It's very, very important text. If you wanna know the Buddha nature, amazing. This sutra, Buddha, the Uttratanta, explains at least like 9 examples. Okay, 9 examples, such as valuable gold in the middle of dirt or garbage, and a treasure of jewels underneath a poor person's house, and an ordinary woman who carries in her womb a child who will later become a great king, and so on. So in the Uttratanta, each of these examples are explained in great detail. But, the general meaning of all this example is that Buddha nature is obscured by defilement. That's the thing. Okay? We have to know that. Because as long as Buddha nature is obscured by negative emotions, then the activities of the Buddha cannot manifest. Right? Cannot manifest. So what we need is we should try to get rid of a selfish mind. First of all, right? Selfish mind. We all agree that selfish mind can harm ourselves, others, everything. Destroy the universe, the selfish mind. And we should try to get rid of selfish mind and replace it with a mind that is kind and a mind that is oriented towards helping others. We need to do that before we discover the Buddha nature. Thousands of candles can be light from a single candle, right? A perfect enlightened being can liberate thousands of beings, an act to make other happy inspires others to make other happy, and happiness is born from such an act. Buddha himself said that if you are, remember, I think we talked about this, if you are walking on the path with a great torch, and when you reached the end of path, you should not throw away this great torch. You should give it to all those other people who are in the dark place. Right? Do you understand what it means? It means when you have the capacity to teach others, then it will be your responsibility to teach others with a great motivation. With a great motivation. Bad motivation, no good. So I always say this, because sooner or later you guys have some capacity that you can teach others. It will be great. It will be great. Me, hard. I have a lot of experience Buddhist, but the language, that I speak is not my, native language, so it's hard to explain things, Otherwise, I will teach very nicely in Tibetan. But if you can teach and some capacity, if you have some capacity, recognition, and then you can teach easily. This is the best way to help others, right? That's a Buddha example. Once you have this great torch, you reach the end path, don't throw away. Give to other people who really need it. And so this is the best. When you meditate, when you practice bodhicitta, it gives you sort of enthusiasm. The more you practice bodhicitta, you feel like, I want to help. I want to help. So then how? Teach the best way to help with great motivation, not selfish mind. Great motivation, a kind mind, really want to help others, compassionate mind, then that's Buddha said, right? You don't have to become a Buddha to help others. You become a Buddha, you have more capacity, but, still we can help. I can help, you can help, because we have this basic goodness, So the best way to help an other is giving teaching and sharing your good experience and with other people who really wanted to know. And I would like to tell you something quite important. Those who seek enlightenment must be careful of each steps. The steps of the path to enlightenment must be taken in your everyday life. And at the very beginning of the path to enlightenment, you must know that there are many difficulties for you to overcome. If you prepare these things in your mind, then it's easy. When you have encounters difficulties, easy. Maybe taking this path and seek enlightenment. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. You should know that. For example, it is difficult not to desire, things that are beautiful, right? Things that are beautiful and attractive, like it's hard. It's hard to, the Buddhist teachings say, just let it go, your desire, attachment. That's not easy, It's not easy. It's hard to not to get angry, right? When you are insulted. It's not that easy. It is difficult not to be disturbed by external conditions and external, circumstances. You all have this experience. It is hard to maintain a peaceful mind. That's the bottom line. Meditation, helps you relax and helps you find peaceful mind. But it's hard. It's difficult to discover these things and Buddha nature with this sort of disturbing emotions. It's hard. You should know these things, but you should also know that you can discover Buddha nature and attain perfect enlightenment sooner or later. Doesn't matter. Maybe not this life, maybe afterlife, if you believe your future life. But it's so important. Think of this, why do people go to caves and sit there in solitude for many years, practice, right? Why they do that? Why do that? It's because they are working to recognize Buddha nature that we have. Once you really understand that you have this amazing quality, you really want to discover it. You really want. So that's why those people who really want to go caves and just stay there and go through very hard time, but they don't care that. They just want to discover it. So the whole reason that we practice every day is because defilements are removable. Is that your goal? Is that your goal? Because sentient beings can achieve enlightenment, right? As they have this potential. And more importantly, you should know that these examples of Buddha nature are actually talking about us, talking about you. You are now. They're not sort of describing something that you will have in the future. Not like that. For instance, when teachers make a very simple and profound this introduce, you to the nature of the mind, what is really happening there is nothing other than discovering what you have, right? But the problem is, with us is that we don't recognize that we have pure gold that is covered with this kind of like thick mud, until we purify the mud. And it is like when the clouds covered the sun, okay? We say there is no sun, right? We say there is no sun. But when the clouds go away, then we say the sun is coming out. But the sun was already there, It was, never not there. We just can't see it, right? While it is covered with clouds, thick clouds. All we can see is the clouds. To understand what I'm talking about? Buddha nature has nothing to do with this dualistic mind. Nothing. Therefore, the possibility of Buddhahood or liberation is there because of the Buddha nature is always there, and it's pure. No matter how different conditions of people may be, it's just like it's like just as milk is always white, regardless of the colors of the cow, red cow, black cow, white cow, doesn't matter. Milk is white. You have attachment, desire, ignorance, doesn't matter. Buddha nature is pure. So it doesn't matter. Good people, bad people, it doesn't matter. Man, woman, it doesn't matter. There's no discrimination with regard to Buddha nature. And it is the most excellent, I think, characteristic of human nature. So, you see, we have to consider whether this is true or not. Try to bring clarity and understanding into your mind and then relax on it. And you are resting on it and developing it more and more. Then you can clearly be aware of this openness and what we call self-arising awareness, right? And when you understand the reality, then everything arises spontaneously. Then you can find a perfect Buddha in your own mind. So that's why we call it Buddha is everywhere, because sentient beings everywhere. Buddha is in your mind, not outside of your mind. You know? So if you understand the essence of this, even intellectually, I think that would be a great sort of achievement, because what this could do for you is give you great energy, I think, and enthusiasm. It will make you want to meditate. It will make you want the wash, wash the mud, covers your beautiful, wonderful gold. You have to investigate about your negative emotions. Are they removable? Are they temporary? You have to investigate the teachings of Buddha nature. You have to put them, the instructions, pithy instructions. These are pithy instructions. Put into your meditation. Buddha nature doesn't appear without practice and effort. And also, you see, that's why you have to invest. But Buddha nature is not easy to understand without wisdom. You have to investigate the teachings, whether they are true or not. You will see if they put into your mind, meditate, you will see. Without wisdom, there was like a story one time, a king gathered some blind people and asked them to tell the king what an elephant was like. Okay? And the first person felt, what do you call the elephant trunk? Yeah. And said elephant was like a big carrot. And then another touched elephant tail, and it's like a rope, etc. So these, no one of them were able to exactly tell the king the elephant real sort of form, So this is what I'm saying is like the wisdom is so important. Ignorant, ignorant ordinary people would not be able to recognize this true nature. I will tell you this, because when we say Buddha nature exists in everywhere, right? Everyone. No matter how deeply it may be covered by greed, anger, and ignorance. If we say this, then some people think, oh, Buddha nature exists. When we say Buddha nature cannot be lost, cannot be destroyed, because there is nothing to destroy, then again, some people may think, oh, it doesn't. Buddha nature does not exist. And when we say Buddha nature is beyond samsara and nirvana, but it is self-arising, then some people may think Oh, both exist because it is self-arising. So Buddha nature is both exist or not exist. Buddha nature exists because it is self-arising. Buddha nature doesn't exist because it's beyond everything. But you see, none of them right. I told you, right? Mupam Rinpoche said that Buddha nature is not a thing. That's the thing. Not a phenomena. I mean, he said that Buddha nature is not a phenomena. It's not a thing. What he called, it is the single spear of Dharmadat, Tigli Nyakchik in Tibetan, Tigli. Because, the basic nature is free from the it-limiting conceptions. Remember when we say the Hat Sutra, Nagarjuna's, which these are found in Nagarjuna's commentary, The Root of Knowledge of Middle Way. It says that which arise interdependently, does not cease, does not arise, it is not nothing, it is not eternal, etc. Remember? That's Buddha nature. He's talking about Buddha nature. Absolute true nature is beyond every conceptual extreme and limitations. So this is the true meaning of our nature. True meaning of our nature. If you don't believe it, when you are sitting in meditation, watching your mind, all of a sudden your mind sort of settles into a different space with awareness. You feel a deeper kind of calm and peace, Then that means then you are not struggling with your thoughts. You begin to just rest and be calm, kind of in like effortless way. Have you felt that kind of experience, that kind of, when you meditate? See, that's we are talking about water, example of Buddha nature, the benefit of this meditation. You see? You feel like very comfort. You are very sort of rest, relax, and you are not struggling with your negative emotions. And you can sit here, kind of like effortlessly. So that's the benefit. That's the benefit of meditation. Even very short period time, even the sort of preliminary process. So, I think it is wonderful that Buddhism has this path. Because the Buddha discovered it. So, we have it. We have the gold inside the mud. So it is our responsibility, right, to wash the mud. So you see, the difficulty is not because of the path. It is because of the person that walks on the path. Buddha said that there are two obstacles for people who are established on the Buddhist path. The first obstacle is many people even don't want to enter this path. Right? Many people don't want. That is the obstacle. The second obstacle is many people enter the path for sure, but cannot get to the end. They're giving up because practice is not easy. So we have these obstacles. That is why Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, whatever, they manifest to different kind of beings according to their different wishes and needs, because they know how to help those people with obstacles, wherever they are. So it's really wonderful if you try, enter this path. That's Buddha said clearly. Just try. You try, investigate with your wisdom. You try, enter this path. It doesn't work, you don't have to. Find something else that's really comfortable. But if you don't try, you never know. So, okay. Now, I think that's all. But not that. Now, the more important is meditation. Now, in order to relax the mind, what do we need to change? As you know, sometimes every meditator encounters distraction during the practice, right? And when I say distraction can be anything, right? Be like a sound, sensation, or emotion, etc. There are so many distractions. So whatever it is, don't get upset with it. Also, don't reject anything. But at this time, methods are needed to deal with it. The instructions, methods. When your mind is agitated, you can reestablish, right? Mindfulness. Your mindfulness is the most important aspect of meditation, always. And there is no need at all to struggle against your distractions. Don't really think they're bad. The more important thing is for meditators like us, important thing is to be mindful of what is happening, but not to control what is happening. Do you understand what I'm saying? But whatever arises in your mind is just an opportunity to discover Buddha nature, if you recognize it. You see, making the relaxed body, body relax is not very difficult. But relax the mind could be difficult because we are not always resting, right? Always resting in the present moment. We are just back and forth with all of these good thoughts, not good thoughts, all of that. So we are not always resting. So therefore, making the relax the mind is not so difficult. And it's not so easy. Now, in order to relax the mind, be comfortable with present moment. So important. It is important to recognize that comfortable, just naturally. My teachers said, be firmly concentrated, yet loosely relaxed. Meditation focuses on balance the mind. Focusing and letting yourself feel the nature of your own mind is so important. So, breathe, breathe in, breathe out, very gentle and relaxed. This is very common meditation, which means like familiar with, this meditation. All of you have done this many, many times. But that doesn't mean your mind is relaxed, So breathe in and out, very gently relax. At the same time, recognize your distractions and then relax again. You see, each breath in is sort of, when you breathe in, it's sort of like a reminder to recognize. And then each breath out is a reminder to relax. Breathe in, recognize. Breathe out, relax. Recognize means make sure that you have this awareness. So teachers say that, right? Let your breath be a tool to help you develop your concentration and your relaxation. So I don't want to give you like special Buddha nature meditation, but this is very common and very easy, very simple. So again, I know after lunch, more difficult to relax the mind, right? Fatigues and no energy like that. But you can. So just to relax, and if you want, you can appreciate your life with this basic nature, and then just relax and breathe in and out, and focus on your mind. When I say focus on mind, which means awareness. This awareness is very important. It's your wisdom. This awareness is what we call wisdom. So without this wisdom, without this awareness, your mind, your meditation is very dark, very heavy. So Buddhism, again, wisdom is the most important. With this wisdom, you can do whatever you want. Let's meditate for a few minutes. Thank you very much.